Hey, it's me, Ria, and I'm a lifestyle coach. I help moms reclaim their time and energy. Look at you, taking this moment to recharge. I see you. During the Doulas Bloom podcast, I share tools and resources with my clients and community to spend time with themselves. The key to you living as your authentic self is embracing change and having courage. Your relationship with yourself is the only true constant in life, and observing yourself throughout each season will allow you to always be in alignment with the desires of your heart. Are you interested in joining my one-on-one coaching program? You can book a sales call with me by visiting the link in the description to schedule your session today. Before we get started, I have to remind you of your influence because you are an inspiration. Hey everybody, and happy International Women's Month. I am so excited for this series. I have been hard at work all of February recording with amazing women to bring you their stories. I created the Girl Chat series not only to share the stories of amazing women, but to also create time capsules of our growth. I think it's so important for us to go back and witness ourselves. And through this series, I have created a little time capsule, not only for me, but also for the women who joined me in these chats. We get to go back and witness ourselves in these moments. And I teach my clients and my community to do this on a monthly and weekly level. And so I'm so excited to expand and grow this series as time goes on. It's going to be so interesting to have guests come back on to the series. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If this is your first time here, my name is Bria. I am a lifestyle coach. I host the Doulas Bloom podcast. I am the creator of the Doulas Bloom community, and I am the leader of the village. So I'm so excited to bring you this March 2022 cohort of Girl Chats. I have committed to doing this every year, as last year in 2021, I did a series, an IGTV series of Girl Chats, which will also be shared during this month, that has inspired me to continue to share stories and to have conversations with women about their stories and their lives and what's brought them to this point. So for the rest of March 2022, you will be getting stories from 20 plus women about their stories, about where they are right now and what has brought them to this point. And I am so excited to do this again. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's shared so openly in this series. And I am so excited to hop right into this conversation. Clearly, you clicked on this one because something in the title or the description, or you know the person who's going to be on this chat. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I am so looking forward to our conversation about where you are a year from now, 2 years from now. I'm just excited to have you back for another Girl Chat. But I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to stop rambling and hop right into this conversation because it is so beautiful, and I don't take any of this for granted, and that's why I really had to come in here hot before we even got into the conversation just to share that. And I'm gushing right now, but thank you so much for listening, you as the viewer who's experiencing this conversation, this Girl Chat, and thank you to everybody who's been on the Girl Chat in its entirety. So I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna let the Girl Chat go. But if you're interested in being part of a Girl Chat with us here on the Doulas Bloom podcast, let me know. You can go to the description. There's a link down there for you to join the wait list. There's a wait list, y'all. There's a wait list for the Girl Chats because so many people wanted to be a part of this, and I'm just excited because we're gonna have more Girl Chats here in the future. So if you want to be a part of the next cohort, you need to join the wait list. Okay, have these conversations, share your story, share your insights and your gems with the community, and let us know what's going on. I don't want us to hide and think that we don't, like, our stories aren't enough. Like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much from the women in my life, and that's why this series means so much to me. But again, I want to create space for you to enjoy this conversation. And again, thank you so much to everybody who's listening, who's being a part of this series. I am happy that you're here. Again, if you want to be a part of this series, you can join the waitlist. The link is down below. You can go to doulasbloom.com/podcast guest to join the waitlist. So without further ado, it's time for a Girl Chat. It's time for a girl
Enjoy.
chat. Hey, time for a girl chat. It's time for a girl chat. Hey, time for a girl chat. Boom. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Do the Spoon podcast. As you can tell from my little theme song for the Girl Chat series, we are doing a girl chat today. And today we have Andrea in the room with us, and I'm so excited to see how this girl chat unfolds. So before we get started, I want to give Andrea an opportunity to introduce herself and let everybody know who's listening, what she's all about.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm
I
good. How are
loved the
you?
intro.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm always
Yeah,
singling little jingles, so had to
I
incorporate that.
I hesitate. I was like, all right, I'm gonna jump in on the next one. It ended. So I was like, oh, it took too long.
It's
But
okay.
no worries. Well, anyways, my name is Andrea. I am a Latina money coach. I was born in Peru. And yeah, I love talking about money and personal finance and investing and real estate and entrepreneurship, all of the things that are money. I think money has become a really taboo topic for
Yeah.
women. I feel like people think it's tacky or impolite. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
really limits us from talking about all of the just ways that we can use money in a very powerful way in our lives to create impact for ourselves, our families, our communities, and like
Mm-hmm.
ultimately like our generation. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I love everything you stand for. And I want to just like share a little moment about like my first moment of like knowing about like financial literacy, if that's even like a thing. But I was in JRTC in high school, and like we had to like do this like project in the like for our final presentation where we had to like literally budget out our life. And so we did like these little games throughout the year through some third party platform where like they gave us a certain amount of money and we would like invest, or we would
Oh, cool.
like learn how to budget, do like this little, it was like a game for high school
Like
students
a
too.
simulation type
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like that was kind of my first introduction to like money. And so like I'm really grateful for like that experience, because like I feel like that was a good foundation just for me to be comfortable talking about money, because like we had classes about it. And I always give that program that I was a part of all the credit for like kind of my like life skills that I learned, because like we should be learning that stuff in like school, but like
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it's cool that it was like you had the time and space to think through it,
mm-hmm.
which that alone is so powerful because it just like made you feel safe and comfortable talking about these things. And
Yeah.
like I think that sometimes not feeling safe with money like stops us from acquiring the knowledge that we
Mm-hmm.
need to then like grow our money
Yeah.
or all
Understanding of
that.
what our relationship is with our money, because I also think of money like a resource, like air and water. Like it's just something that is given to us. It's how we like, it's the transaction that most of our the things that we do like exchange through. So I'm just like, if you have more of this resource, you have more access to like creating experiences and living life in the way that you truly want to. But I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself because at the beginning of these episodes, I like to give everybody a little context to like how we know each other and like how we got into this room together. And so I like to play a little game of like first impression. What was your first impression of me? And then I can share my first impression of you. But I'm so excited about the chat. We don't have to rush through this at all, but I will, we'll get back to what we were talking about before.
Okay.
So we know each other through DL's group program, business program, 5-Figure Freedom. And so we've both gotten coached a lot, and I feel like we're both super vulnerable when we get coached. And so I would love to hear like your first impression, and I'll share mine after you.
Yeah. So I think my first impression was somewhere along the lines of like, oh, like she's being open and like, oh, I think that way too. And I think that
Mm.
there are multiple times where you just shared what you were
I'm
what.
sorry, I just noticed that we have the same painting of the flower of Morgan's artwork. I'm like, that's in my kitchen. So I just had that moment. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like full
No
face
worries. Your
drop
reaction was
the
like, I was
what
like, oh no, what happened?
no, I'm just like, I feel an immediate connection because we have the same taste in artwork.
Yeah, I saw those at Target and I was like, oh,
Yep, that's where I got
I
mine.
need all of these.
I'm sorry, but as you were saying.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, she thinks like me. And then so that was like my first impression of like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, my brain does that too. And then there were other times where you were getting coached, and sometimes when you get coached, you're so in your like you're in your own brain that you don't really
yeah,
see outside of that. And so there were other times where it was just like I like would see you get coached and you were so persistent to like what you were experiencing, and you were so real and like authentic with your coaching and where you were at. And
yeah,
I don't know, I just really enjoy like watching you get coached because you like, I think a lot of times people will back down from like, okay, doesn't super resonate. I don't super believe you, but I'm just going to like take it and kind of like,
yeah.
okay. I don't think you do that. You're
I
like, no,
don't.
but also, no, but this. And I just really enjoy like seeing your brain like want to make sense of things in a way that
Yeah,
actually makes sense for you. So,
yeah. There's a lot of reflection that happens after the coaching calls. And for like everybody who, just to give you a little bit of context of like what we're talking about, we're in a business group coaching program where like we get help on like building and like scaling our business essentially. And so I get coached a lot, and a lot of times I leave the room crying. I go like in the shower and I cry, and I'm just like, it doesn't make sense to me. But usually in the morning when I write about it, I'm like, oh, I see what the coach meant. But no, it's really nice to hear that people don't just think I'm rambling, because when I'm going through it, like you said, I can be like really in my head and I'm just like, wait, what?
yeah.
But it's really nice to just see that like my openness and my transparency and like my entrepreneurial journey is resonating with other people. So I will continue to share even when it's hard and scary.
Yes.
But my first impression of you was very similar. Because I feel like you don't back down either. You're like, wait, what? Say it again, try again, because it's not making sense. And so I love watching you get coached as well, because like hearing people say things multiple times in different ways helps it click. And so I always feel like if I didn't understand something the first time, you created space not only for yourself, but also for me to like understand. And so, yeah, I think one of like my favorite like highlight moments was when we were doing what is it called? There was a panel, and you were on the panel for like the money coaches who were sharing their knowledge. And I was just like loving everything that you said, that I went and followed you from that day. And I have to show you something, because like this is real life, y'all. This is real life. I have this concept that Andrea shared on her Instagram on the sticky note. It's talking about money buckets. And I literally keep it, and it's on like my wall of random
I
stuff.
didn't know that.
And it's just like everything that you're talking about is so digestible. And I was just like, this makes sense. And like, obviously, I have a little foundation of like how money works, but like just having that being like there's different buckets to where money can go. I was like, that makes sense, because it's like your fun money. And it's like, but isn't all the leftover money fun money? And it's like, no, what about savings? And so I love the way that you talk about the work that you do, because it really resonates. And I just love watching your journey as well, because I don't think we came into the program at the same time. Excuse me, but it's always nice just to see that like there's a place of growth for me. Like I'm not the person who's at like the beginning, but I'm also not like the smartest person in the room. And so it's just like I get to witness myself and being like, oh, I was there. Like, oh, that might be a place I will be. And so, yeah, thank you for always sharing.
No problem. It's
Yeah,
funny that we both resonate with like, yeah, we don't back down.
we really, I think I can only speak for myself, but I'm just really eager to figure it out.
Like understand it fully.
Yeah. And it's
Mhm.
not just about, oh, okay, this is one piece that I can take away from me. It's almost like that analogy where it's like you can feed someone and satisfy them for like one period in time of their life, or you can teach them how to like grow crops and like so that they can like make food for the rest of their lives. Like I'm more interested in learning the process of how to like farm
Yeah.
rather than just how to prepare a meal. And I feel like you might be similar in that way as well.
Yeah.
But I'll just kind of circle back to what we were talking about before, because I'm so curious to hear about like your journey to even getting to this place where like you're sharing about like creating generational wealth. And I definitely want to talk about that more, but I'm sure it'll come up in your story. So I would love to hear about like everything that's just brought you to this point. And if that's too much, we can always just talk about like one obstacle or something, but like the floor is literally yours. I want to just listen to everything that you have to say and hear all the gems and just see what comes up for me. And I want my audience to do the same. So sit back, grab a cup of tea if you don't have some already, and let's just hear what Andrea is all about.
Yeah. Cool. So I'll do the not the short spark notes, but like a little bit more because it get because your story could be so long.
Yeah.
But I'll give you like the concise, but yeah, the story. Okay, so I graduated from the University of Florida when I was 22, and at that time I really wanted to get a job at go to Austin, Texas. That was like I want to go work for Dropbox because they were like hiring for that office. And I like didn't apply to any jobs except for that one. So like don't do that. I did that. I didn't end up getting the job. I got to the like second to last interview, didn't get the job. And it was like 3 days before graduation. And I was like, I have no job.
Yeah.
And at that time, like I let that mean like that I was a failure. And I was like, there's no way that I can graduate college without a job. Like I have to find a job right now. And
Mhm.
so I was like, all right, who do I know that could potentially hire me? And so it was this local business in the school that I went to. And so I pretty much just was like, hey, let's grab lunch. And I pitched myself and I was like, I'm graduating. I need a job. I'm eager to learn. I want to run a business. How can I help? And he was like, do you want to work for me? And I was like, perfect. This is my plan the whole time. So he hired me. I was so like, I need a job. I didn't even ask him like what my income or salary was. I was like, great. I have a job. I need to go graduate. Be right back. And so I started and like a couple of days before I started, I was like, hey, how much am I earning? Like, what's my salary? Cause I want to like figure out my budget. And he was like, oh, we can start you out at $22,000 a year. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not what I had in mind, but it's fine. I have a job. We'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
so that was the kick start of my money journey because I really like had no option. Like I had to budget every single dollar or else it wouldn't work out. And luckily, I had a couple of privileges. Number one, I lived in a college town, so I was very easily very it was very easy for me to sublease from people who were like studying abroad, right? So my rent was somewhere around like the $300 $400 a month,
Mm.
sometimes even like $200 a month,
Yeah.
depending on like what I found. So that was huge for making this whole thing work. The second thing is I didn't have any student loans when I graduated, so that was great. And then the third thing is I was still on my parents' health insurance. And so I didn't have to pay that. And then my dad still covered my car insurance like right as I graduated. So I did have those things that helped. But in that time, like I still, had other bills and groceries and like things that I had to pay for. And so I very quickly was like, I need to figure this out. And so that was
Yeah.
where the concept of the buckets came in. As soon as it got paid, I was like, here is the money that I technically don't own anymore, the money for my goals. And then here's what I can spend. So I just consistently did that over and over and ended up saving around $8,000 for the first 18 months. Now my salary did change from 22,000 to 26. So that really helped me save about $400 a month. So that was the first time that I was like, whoa, like I was able to do this. Like
Mhm.
and like everything that I got, I would just save. And so that kind of kickstarted my money journey. I learned about personal finance and I started budgeting and doing all that. I wanted to start learning about investing. And at the time, I shared an Amazon account with people. And so I was looking to see, like, what book do I get to learn about investing? And the book that I found was I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. And so I put it in my cart, but I didn't end up buying it. I freaked out when I saw it in the cart because I was like, people are going to know that I'm buying a book to be rich. They're going to think
Mm.
badly of me. So I didn't buy it. And it was like it was looking back, I was like, man, that one moment, like my thoughts about like being rich or being seen as somebody who wants to like be rich really did stop me and like just limited me from creating wealth and
Yeah.
starting to invest at that age. Because if I had read that book, I ended up reading that book like 6 years later. But if I had read it like when I was 22, like I would have started so much earlier. And I have a lot of grace for like young Andrea.
Mm,
Um, but it was like one of those moments where in retrospect, I was like, wow, like my thoughts about money really
yeah.
did get in the way. Um, so anywho, that I did that for a while. Like worked, saved, worked. My plan was to go to California. Didn't end up going to California. California, super random. I couldn't tell you why. But then I did an internship with a local church. So that was like a year long. Then I worked in ministry for like a year or two. Then I
Mm,
found a job and started earning more. And that felt really good because I was like, I have so much money. And so for like a good 2 years, I just like didn't budget and spend. I just spent and I ended up saving like $2,000 within a year and I was making like $32,000.
mhm.
And when I had that light bulb moment, I was like, wait a second, how did this happen? Like I'm
Yeah.
earning more than I did back then. And now I am like, I have less saved. And so very quickly turned all of it around because I had the skill set, I just wasn't utilizing them and started saving, investing is when I started investing then. And it wasn't until I like I went into investing like, okay, I'll just make up for my like couple of years that I didn't invest. Like, how much do I need to like put in there to
Mhm.
kind of like catch up? And someone explained to me, like, you actually can't, like,
Mm,
there's no going back. Like, you just have to start from here. And I like that moment, I felt like such a, just like a sting of like, no, what do you mean?
yeah.
And so that was what kickstarted like, okay, like this is where I'm starting from, but I want to help other people, other women like not feel this. And so then I turned my Instagram to personal finance and started just talking to my friends, like anybody who would listen. I was like, do you want to learn? And then that evolved into my business that I have now, which is called Building Gen Wealth. So that's the spark notes.
I love so much of that. I can relate to some of the pieces that you shared. Like I dropped out of school because the pandemic. And just to give everybody some context, if you're new here, I'm 23, and so it's just like I'm a baby. I have so much time. I'm trying not to call myself a fetus anymore because like obviously I am here. But like I definitely can relate because like I'm in this phase right now. And if you've been listening to the Girl Chat series, you're probably sick of hearing me talking about how I quit my job, but I just quit my job and I don't have a plan. I don't have a plan. I don't know what my next job is, but I know that I'm ready for like my first big girl job. I've just been kind of working whatever I could get essentially and not really thinking about how this is going to impact my life going forward and the lifestyle that I'm creating for myself. And I've always had the mindset of like, I'll make whatever I have work. I don't want to ask for more. And so, like, in the position that I'm leaving now, I actually asked for a raise and they were like, we're willing to give you this. And I was like, bye. That was kind of how that
Yeah.
went. And I was like, that is the money that I would need to stay here. And if you're not giving me that,
Mm.
I literally have zero motivation to be here. I don't love my coworkers. I don't love the environment. It's anxiety inducing. And so I got to this place of being like, well, I've been talking about quitting this job since I got this job. And I kind of got the job out of necessity, but it was just like, it's time to see what else is out there. And so just like hearing you talk about like how you got the internship and how you pitched yourself and got the job, it just gives me hope that like maybe even if I don't find the perfect job that I really want, I still have everything in me to like create this new source of income and like chapter in my life where I feel semi-fulfilled, hopefully fully fulfilled in a position that I work that is not attached to my business. But yeah, like thank you for sharing that. And there were so many gems, so many gems.
I think it's so cool that you did, like a lot of people think about stepping away from their job and it's a thought, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think for me that was for the longest time, like, because I feel like I've under earned for the first handful of years of my career. And every time
Yeah.
I was like, "Gosh, should I just leave? Should I just leave?" But I never did. And I often wonder, like, man, I'm like, if I would have left at this moment, like, I wonder what
Mm.
happened. If I would have left at this moment, like, I
Yeah.
wonder, and I don't dwell in it, but it is kind of like, man, like, I
Yes.
wonder.
Yeah.
So even to hear you have that thought and idea and then follow through with it is it's a risk is a skill set of building wealth. And I think that your
Mm.
people are risk tolerant or they're risk adverse. And you can develop that, but
Yeah.
I think that that's something that I want to point out. Like maybe your capacity for risk is at a level or a threshold that is higher. And that could be a great thing. It could also like you want to like cultivate it.
Yeah.
But it is I just wanted to like share like that is an ingredient to building wealth. And it seems like you are comfortable exercising risk.
Ooh. Thanks, Andrea. To hear. My mom and I were actually talking about this on the way to work because we work together right now. And she was like, I'm not a risk taker. And I was like, you saying that you're not a risk taker implies that I am a risk taker. And I'm like, I'm a risk taker. But like looking back on my life and how like straight out of high school, I enlisted in the military. And I told my mom, I don't care. I'm 18. I'm leaving. Bye. I ended up getting injured because of this, because of my training. I broke my hip. It wasn't a clean break, but I was definitely on fracture. It was a stress fracture, but I was on crutches for a while. But that's the reason why I left the military. And right after that, I was like, well, I'm going to school. And I just flew across the country. And every penny that I made from my time in boot camp, I used moving myself to Colorado to go to school. And then I worked 2 jobs to pay for tuition and being a full-time student and making good, academic grades and doing all that stuff. And then the pandemic happened. I moved home. That was not as fun of a risk moving back home, but like I am a risk taker and like I could just see it now. I'm just like, what? That's crazy. I always have gotten to this point financially speaking, like just being transparent, where like I don't want to say I didn't have a pot to piss in, but like there was a point where like there was only so many dollars in the bank, and I was like, there's always more where that came from. And so like in this season of being like, we're almost at zero, girl. We really are. We really are almost at zero. But I'm like, this isn't somewhere I haven't been before. And so I think just relying on the evidence that I've gotten through this before and I'll get through it again is what's carrying me into that. And I think that's where it's like generational wealth comes into play, because like my family didn't have anything, like they didn't have anything monetarily to give me when it came to like going to college or even extracurricular activities when I was in school. Like it was always like a big ask to be like, can I do this thing? I need $50 for the booster club fee. Like
Yeah.
and so it's just like,
I that I can relate to that.
yeah,
Like, yeah. High school activities and being like,
can I
okay. Yeah.
have enough? And so I think it's just so telling to know that like for me and like my lineage, I could be the first person to like actually create something that I can leave behind. And I'm really big on like legacies and like leaving a legacy that will outlive me. And right now, like I'm laying the foundation for like whatever's going to come after me. And it's just like, it's not about what my family did or didn't have. It's just like, what do I want to bring to the table? And what do I want to give back to my friends, family, and community when I'm not here? Like, how can I leave something tangible? Because I can't take anything with me for them. And so that's kind of the way that I think about generational wealth. I'm so curious to hear about like how you think about it, because
Yeah.
like as like you're going into the season where like you are building wealth? Like, I would love to hear more.
Yeah. So I think you touched on like the tangibles of generational wealth, which are like, like assets, property, money, investments,
Mhm.
like those are there. And I think that those are important parts of it. But when I think about generational wealth, I also think about the intangibles, right? And so the way that my parents' generation grew up with money and the way that I grew up with money, it was influenced by how my parents viewed it. And
Yeah.
I think that like a part of generational wealth is like how am I responsible for my relationship with money going forward, and what type of relationship with money do I want to teach my kids to have?
Mm.
Because then they're not going to start, like, I think I started from a place of scarcity. Like the reason why I've always saved is because I was like, I'm going to run out.
Yeah.
There's not gonna be enough. Like, I need to keep it. And I don't think that was a good relationship to have. It served me at the time I think there's no shame in what you like needed to do to feel safe at the time. But I
Yeah.
think there is something to like, all right, now that I'm aware that that is what I do, like, how do I, step into a place where I have a healthier view of this? And so for me, it was, scarcity. And so I think like my part in passing down to my future generations is like, how do you start at a level where your relationship with money is safe, and you're not kind of coming out of like this place where you think it's going to run out, but you have just like a more neutral and safe relationship. So I
Mhm.
think that that's part of it. I also think that my mom influenced my ability to believe and dream. Like, she cultivated like dreams in like my brother and I. She like always was like, "What's your goal? What's your dream?"
Yeah.
And she has always been an entrepreneur. So ever since we were in Peru, she sold like sweaters, or just like always was like, "What, I just need to sell. I need to sell." And so being able to see my mom, just be able to come, like, because we came here when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and being able to see her like just kind of figure it out using the skill set of like sales and entrepreneurship was like
Mhm.
huge for me, because like as a 7, 8-year-old girl, like little girl, just like watching,
Yeah.
um, it made me tap into like, oh wow, like this is a wealth vehicle that when used really has the potential to like help you. And my mom was like, I don't want to work for anyone. Like, I can make my own money. And I saw her like build a business from like, you know, first starting to sell pots and pans, and then starting to sell beauty products. And then she had enough capital to like open up her own brick and mortar, and she sold CDs. And
Mm.
then from there. And so I saw her actively build. And so I was like, whoa, that's
Yeah.
possible. Like, that's possible to do. And I think she expanded for my brother and I, like, hey, like, I know that you're going to school to have your 9 to 5. And I know that like that is part, like, I want you guys to like get your degrees, but always like think about
Mm.
like what you could do in the arena of like entrepreneurship. Like, how can you become your own boss
Mm.
and create your own business? And so she just always planted those things. And to me, like, that's generational wealth, like, happening,
Mm.
right? Because she casted a vision for me that like now in my 20s and 30s, like I had that seed planted, and I always looked for like, wait, like, what could I do? Like, where could I, create this for me? And so I think that there's multiple ways to like impact your generations, like that are financial and like assets, but
Yeah.
there's like also like those seeds that you plant, the relationship that you pass down, the lessons, like, and even with investing, like, that's something I had to figure out on my own. And now my kids are like, I'm going to plant the seed of entrepreneurship and you'll have a retirement account when you're like an infant, right? And so, or not an
Mm.
infant, but like when you're a
Yeah.
teenager. So those are things that like, every generation we can just get better and better at like passing down. And so yeah, anywho, those are
No,
my
that
thoughts.
was beautiful. I'm just like, my brain is like, what are the things that like got passed down to me? Because like I lived a very sheltered life, but like I love that. And that's why like I'm so okay doing my own thing and just being like, well, like if I don't want to do that, I don't have to be here. And so just like picking and choosing where I want to show up for myself and show up for like my community. Cause like my mom was super active in the church and she was always surrounded by people. And that's kind of how I see things. And like so it's normal for me to like do that. But I'm like, if she didn't do that, would this be something that like was normal? And it's just like, oh my gosh, the intangibles that you just talked about. I'm just like, my brain's going crazy about like what that is and like what intangible thing am I going to leave for the people in my life. Like, I don't know if I want to have kids one day, but like for my friends and family, just like seeing my siblings, I have young siblings like 3 and 6. Well, she's 7 now. Emily, please don't be offended me messing up your age, girl, please. But she just watching them watching me go after what I want and knowing that like my sister, like Emily, I love you, girl. She thinks it's so cool that her sister's on YouTube. She's always like, Priya, I'm watching your YouTube videos. I'm like, which ones? Because you're gonna be mad when I say bad words, girl. Don't watch that one. And so it's just like I think I'm leaving the gift of like inspiration and just being literally laugh and like play. Like life doesn't need to be so serious. Like if I could like dance and sing in the field all day, I probably would. And so I just love that I got to like just think about all those things while also like absorbing what you're sharing. And so yeah, I'm kind of like starstruck right now because I'm like, I don't have words. I don't have words. I'm just like,
no, you're good.
you're so awesome. You're so awesome. And I would love for you to share about like what is going on in like your business. How can people connect with you? What's next for you in like this chapter of your life? Yeah, we just want to know how we can support you and keep you in our thoughts over here in the Duelist Bloom community. So
so the best way to like stay connected with me is to follow me on Instagram at building.gen.wealth. I show up there a lot talking about money, different ways to think about money, creating safety with money. I think that's my biggest thing. Like, hey, we need to feel safe with money before we can get the knowledge that we need to get the growth that we want. And so, I think a big part of investing is just understanding how it all works and not understanding it and then having the thought of like putting your money that you like worked hard for and like potentially losing it is a real fear. And I think like, hey, creating just more knowledge about this, helps it be a safe space. So anywho, on there, I talk about investing, managing your money, having a healthy relationship with money, different ways to think about wealth building. I would love for everyone to come say hi.
yeah, come say hi and follow, potentially work with Andrea if that's something that you feel compelled to do.
Yes, I also offer a one-on-one money and investing coaching program. So it's a 4-month program where it's more of like a personal one-on-one deep dive towards like your finances, getting more aware of things, learning about investing and all that. So
Yeah. Awesome. And then lastly, anything you want to share about like what's coming up in your life? I like to think of these girl chat series as a little time capsule in your journey, like when you can come back and listen to this and be like on what is today, February 10th, 2022. What was in your mind? What are you calling in? So anything you want to share there on that point, we'd love to hold for that.
Super fun fact. My birthday is on February 22nd. So this year it's 2/22/22. So that's super fun. And I'm excited about that. My birthday, it's in 1 week, 3, 4, 5.
That is crazy. I am going to send you a happy birthday message because just us talking about this, I am big into like angel numbers and numerology. And you talked about getting $2,000, 22,000, and then you said you were 22. And then literally today when I was at work, we have these huge crates of milk that we get from like Cisco that we get. And like on one of the dates, it was like 2022222. And I was like, oh my gosh, I said, I'm in alignment. I am on
wow.
And then just hearing you say that that's your birthday, and like I had that moment earlier today, I'm just like, oh my gosh. But everybody who's listening to this will be posted in February. So go ahead and give Andrea a little happy belated birthday.
No, the reason I say that is because when I was like little, you know how like you'll look at your, I mean, you'll know your birthday. And so I was like, oh my God. So when I was like maybe 10 years old, I was like,
Yeah,
wow, that day's going to be so fun.
it's
And
gonna be
now it's
your,
like, it's
yeah,
here.
it's your golden birthday. I had mine's in 2011. My birthday is November 11th, so it's 11/11/11.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
Yeah, but we're like,
Cool.
you're like me squared, your birthday. But thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us today. Like, I've learned so much, and I'm sure everyone who's listening has learned so much as well. And so I just like to give everybody opportunity at the end of the podcast, at the end of the Girl Chats, to take some time to reflect. So this is your invitation, everybody. Take the next 3 minutes to reflect. I will have some reflection prompts on the screen for everybody who's watching. And for those of you who are listening, you're in luck. I put those reflection prompts in the description. So go ahead and head over there and enjoy the little instrumental music and do your little reflection. And if you want to share anything about what comes up for you, if you're on YouTube, leave it in the comments. If you want to chat with me, book a chit chat. This is not a sales call. It's just a chat for us to get to know each other and talk about whatever's coming up for you. So that's always an option. But thank you, Andrea, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for listening. The next 3 minutes are for you to reflect, and I'll see you tomorrow, and maybe we'll see Andrea in a year, 2 years from now on another Girl Chat series. But I hope that you all have a beautiful day and happy reflecting, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, I really hope you enjoyed today's Girl Chat. I loved having these conversations, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy tomorrow's episode as well. But before you go ahead and click to the next Girl Chat, I want you to share your thoughts on this one. So you can go to the comments and share your key takeaways, what gem resonated with you, and just let us know your thoughts. And so, yeah, we want to keep the conversation going. We want to keep the girl chat going, even though it's over. But you can start the conversation down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on the podcast, I want you to go ahead and take a screenshot of this episode and tag us at Doulas Bloom on Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Same thing, keep the conversation going, share it with a friend, let us know your key insights, your key takeaways, and yeah, I want to know your thoughts. How did you feel today's girl chat went? What resonated with you? So yes, that is what I want. And then I will see you tomorrow. For the next girl chat. And I'm so excited about this series. So excited about it. So, but I will see you tomorrow for the next girl chat. And yeah, I love y'all. Bye.